Hi folks, well this is the first one of the tea videos, and this one is about brewing tea, so I thought I'd better get dressed up a bit for the etiquette of tea. So I'm going over there. Hi, so like I said, this is about brewing tea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at one or two teas, tea bags, look how to brew loose tea, and look at how to brew a tea bag to get the best out of it. I'm not saying you have to do this, you can do what you like. It's up to the individual, everybody enjoys it differently, but if you want to brew it properly so you get the proper flavour out of tea, I'll give you some idea anyway. And to be honest, if you're going to buy a good tea and it's going to cost you a little bit extra, then you do want to get the best out of it. And if you're going to have a little tea circle amongst friends, or you're going to have friends round for tea, and you're going to do it a little bit more elegantly, not necessarily every day, but every now and then you're going to get together and have a tea session. Doesn't hurt to put a little bit of the airs and graces on and do a little bit of play acting and just pretend. But at the same time, enjoy what you're doing. So this time, it's not going to go into the etiquette and all that sort of thing, but we'll have a look at probably the better way to get the best out of your tea rather than just throwing it there. So yeah, we'll be getting on with that. To be honest, it's too flipping hot today in here in that thing, so it's come off. And on to this. Right, now we're back to normal. Going to show you one or two bits that you can use, and at the moment we're talking about every day really. But at the same time you can be a little bit more elegant with it. But today is looking at really what we could use and probably the better way to do it. Don't take this as the full gen. A lot of this is me, a lot of this is how it should be done. But people will have different ways, but this is a lot of this is the old tried and tested ways, the way the Victorians and blah 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 would have done it, the way my grandmother would have done it, the way my mum would have done it. So let's have a look. First of all, what we're probably going to drink out of. Now I'm not going to go through everything because I could be here all day showing you bloody cups, but you do, if you want to put on a good tea circle and you want good tea, you want china or bone china, not chunky ceramic cups or plastic or paper, whatever. Good china or bone china. These are the ones I like to use. You might have seen these before. It's I just like this set. It's a little bit Art Nouveau or something, I suppose, to me, and it's just right. If you're ladies and you want something a little bit more dainty, go for something like this, just a little bit daintier than the other cup, and just looks nice rather than drinking out of a pint pot. Again, it's up to you. If you don't want to drink out of a cup, you prefer a mug, you can buy mugs that are china or bone china, so there's no excuse. And to be honest, you still get the better taste than you do with the ceramic, the chunky ceramic things. I don't know why, it's always been that way. Ask a good tea drinker that knows about drinking tea out of china, they'll tell you the same. These, that's china, that's china. You get some without the little tops, you get some with tops that you put down there, and then they become a little saucer. But these particular ones, if we want to look at this nice feminine looking one, or should I say that really? These two have something like that in, so you can use a teapot, pour into there, or you can put your loose leaf into there, brew it the same as you would with a teapot, put the lid on. When it's brewed, take it out. Or if you want to do it the easy way, put a tea bag in there and then eventually just take it out that way. Anyway, so they're china, so yes, you can use something like that. And this one's also got that in. So I'll just move those out of the way. We're not going to be very, well, I'm going to leave that one there actually, because I'm going to use that one. Yeah, we're not using a lot of etiquette today. We're just looking at making a cup of tea for yourself every day. The next video will be a little bit more into the etiquette of the do's and don'ts of tea drinking. For the moment, this be a little bit etiquette. Right, we looked at those. Now we'll look at what we're actually going to serve from. Again, I've got a few different teapots. I'm not going to go into the whole flipping lot. So I'm just going to show you the one or two. And some of you have seen this one. It's you probably have seen people with teapots with a tea cosy on. Well, this is just a little bit fancier. There's your ceramic teapot, and this has got felt inside. You close it, and believe it or not, that keeps that pot of tea up for considerable time. So yeah, there's that type, but that's more or less an old fashioned one now, theoretically. You can have the modern type, which is like this. Different sorts, you get some with little things that go inside like the cup had. This one has a ball. You put the tea in the ball, hot water, put that in, let it brew, and then when it's ready you just push that down and the ball goes up to the top, and then you can have your tea. So that's a little bit more of a modern way if you want something modern. I was going to bring it out, but no, I've got an electric teapot which really does brew a good pot of tea, but I'm not going to go into that today. And then you get these sort of things which are probably just for one person. You get a couple of cups out of that, or you and a friend, if you're just going to have one cup each, you'll get a couple of cups out of that. I have teapots in there which, like I said, I'm not bringing out, that are that size, and the bottom half is a teacup. So you've got an handle, you brew your tea, you lift the pot off, and there's your cup. So the bottom half is a cup. So today, for my cup of tea, depends whether I'm going to have a tea bag or loose tea, depends what I'm going to use. Might have this one, I might do the metal one. I don't know. I don't want to drink loads of tea. Getting on to the tea bags. This is sort of, in my view, this is sort of middle range. This is sort of a little bit upper range, and you can get more expensive than this. And you get the low end range, which is like 1,000 tea bags for 50p. Well, if you're going to drink them, you'll only get what you pay for. These are a good cup of tea. Now, in Britain, loads of people say, yeah, Tetley. So it's Tetley, PG Tips, all those, there's Twinings and whatever. They're all good bags, and it depends on your taste, really. There'll be a little bit of difference between each. So yeah, box of these. Then ones I like, which are a little bit more expensive, called Yorkshire Tea. It's very strange. Sell bloody tons of it, and I live in Lancashire. The War of the Roses. So yeah, that will give you a really good cup of tea. Not much more expensive than those, but it does be a good cup of tea. If you want to go more expensive than that, you're going into the more elegant and whatever tea, and that depends on your own taste, really. But in a minute we'll go into the brewing of these. Loose tea. This is a box I came across, wood with metal, and if you see there's a little keyhole there, no key. But years ago, Victorian times and that, when you had tea, you put it in something like this because it was flipping expensive. So it was a luxury. And I think because it was a luxury, that's where you get all the elegant tea drinking. You didn't want to pay Rolls Royce prices for stuff that goes in here and then just swill it back and, you know, like it was yesterday. So tea round the table in a circle of whatever was a little bit of a ritual, really. And the head of the home would have done the tea and whatever. So this is a box I got. It was one piece and I split it because I didn't want that much. I'd imagine originally it would have had 2 boxes in, and each box would have had a lid. Now there would have been wood boxes or ceramic, I suppose, tin even, but there was probably 2, so you could have 2 different teas. And I've got 2 of my favourites in here. And what I'll do is I'll show you a picture of these up close. Better make sure I know which side. They're not going to look much different to you there. This one here is an English breakfast tea, which is, it's lovely to drink. This one, this side, is what you call orange pekoe. Now, orange pekoe, they're both the black, what we call a black tea, but the orange pekoe isn't what it says. You're not going to drink that and go, oh, this smells and tastes like oranges, because it doesn't. It's the name given to it. So if you have a look, I'll show you the 2 teas. The first one is the English breakfast tea. You'll see it's a lot finer, but not as fine as the stuff that's in the tea bags. So English breakfast tea is the finer of the 2. The orange pekoe is pretty chunky leaf. When you put it into the water, they expand and get even bigger. So if you have a look, there's the 2 pictures. Okay, so that's the two teas that I like. So I'm going to go away now, give you an idea how to brew a tea bag and get the best out of it. Because I know some people are chronic, and how to get the best out of a loose tea. So follow me. Okay, today for the tea demonstration I'm doing, I decided to use this pot, the glass one, only for the reason of you can see what's happening inside, but normally you would use a good teapot. But it's today and I'm not in a tea circle, so let's have a look at this. I've took the ball out, so it is just a pot. And the first thing we're going to do is we boil the water's boiling, and we'll add some water to the pot, put the lid on, give it a minute or two, and we can give a bit of a agitation. What that's doing is it's warming the pot up. I mean, if you want to, you can add more water, but that's warming the pot up, so when we actually make the tea, it's a warm pot. Now what you can do as well is you can actually do this, move the pot. Some people do this as well, which again is warming up the teacup. Once they've warmed up to the temperature, then you can just tip that away. Now we've got a hot cup, a hot teapot. So on to the next bit. I like, especially at this time of day, the orange pekoe, so I'm going to do the orange pekoe. And what we do, take the lid off. You can use teaspoons, or you can use these spoons that are made especially for tea, little tea scoops. And depends on how many you're actually making tea for. A good spoon of that. Going to put 2 in, and the old thing of yesteryear was 1 for each person, 1 for the pot. So we're going to do that. The water's boiling, don't let it go well below boiling point. Pour into the teapot. And for that amount of tea, we should be about there. Put the lid on. Like I said, a few years back you would have put the tea cosy on now to keep the pot hot. So let's move these. There you can see the tea is already changing colour. Now for orange pekoe, you want 2 to 3 minutes of it seeping in that boiling water to get the flavour and the colour out of it. We'll go in at a different time, the different types of teas, they have a slightly different time depending on whether they're a strong tea or whether they're a light tea, a fruit tea, whatever. But with this sort of thing, a fairly heavy black tea, 2 to 3 minutes. So we'll come back in 2 or 3 minutes and have a look what it looks like. Okay, that's 2 to 3 minutes, and if you notice the colour of the tea's gone quite dark, a reddy colour actually. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to agitate this a little bit. just so, if you can notice there, notice the size of those tea leaves now. Lovely pieces of leaf, and that's why some of this tea gets a little bit expensive. It's not really ground down tea, it's lovely pieces of leaf. And the good thing about this is that when you've finished your tea, you can tip that on the garden, and it's good for the plants. So we'll make a cup of tea. Okay, tea bags. This way I'm going to make it how lots of people make it. Lots of people like it this way, but if you want a good cup of tea, it's not a good way. You put the tea bag in, add the water, and straight away start doing this, and you start squeezing the tea bag up the side of the cup or the mug, and you pick it up and you do this. And that's it. If we get this cup, we'll have a bit of a look what it looks like. It looks like a pretty decent cup of tea. The only thing is, it's not been in there long enough to brew, and it's that colour because you've just squeezed the colour out of the tea bag. But yeah, that's really not the best way of doing it. But we do it again. There's the tea bag, boiling water, and this time we're going to leave it for at least 3 minutes. It will stay hot, especially if you have one of those cups like that one is, that you can put the little lid on the top. But leave it at least 3 minutes to do its brewing. So okay, we've given it 3 minutes. Now the thing with brewing is if you leave it and brew it, it's going to get the flavour of tea. If you take less time, you're pressing the bag, you're swishing it around, you're going to get the colour, you're going to get some flavour, but it's going to be bitter. And that's why sometimes it's bitter, so people water it down with milk. But leave it to brew, you'll get the proper tea flavour rather than bitterness. So we'll have a look at this one that's just sat there brewing. You notice it's a lovely rich tea colour, and there you'll get an excellent cup of tea from it. Well, back at the table, pot of tea. Just one more thing we need now, and this is what we need as well. Some have seen this. This is a set, it's a very old set. There's a little stand, and there's a very fine mesh, and there's just little holes in the metal, which I'm going to use today. It sits on there, so let's have a cup of tea. So I will say one thing, it's generally put the milk in last. So because I haven't got the little strainer that takes the leaves, having to use this. As you can see, strain it into the cup. If it was the smaller cup, then that would probably sit on top of the cup. When you finish with it, back onto this little platform. Milk, just add enough milk to your liking, and then stir your tea, and I will give you the verdict. Now that that's a lovely cup of tea, and let me try and explain the taste to your orange pekoe. There's the taste of the black tea, the strength of the black tea, but there is an underlying fruitiness of it, I suppose, which maybe gives it the orange, but there isn't orange in there. But that is a lovely cup of tea, and like I said, in China it tastes totally different. If you want to have a cup of tea and a biscuit, that's great, anytime. I've got three here that are pretty favourites. One is the shorty. Not going to go into great detail, but there's a shorty. Put that there. There's a few down there. Rich tea, which is a pretty popular one for tea. It's an harder biscuit. And here we have the digestive, and that's a totally different biscuit again. It's very digestive, and it's a little bit softer. All good Dunkin' biscuits. I'm just going to go quickly into this. How you dunk is up to you. Rich tea especially. Quick. Hang on, I ain't got the rich tea. The rich tea. It's very much alike. Rich tea. Quick dunk. Now that quick dunk, the outsides are fairly soft, the inside's crunchy. Fantastic. If you want to go a little bit further, just leave it a little bit longer, and about that long, then it's getting pretty wobbly, it's getting soft. That is soft all the way through. Now if we can, what happens to lots of us when we're talking to friends or we're not concentrating and we dunk our rich tea, and this can happen to other biscuits as well, but we're talking, we lift it out, and that happens. So you've got to be careful with biscuits, you have to be careful. Too long, you're going to get a floater. And you get a floater, you've either got to take it out or let it sink to the bottom. Put it there, eat it off the spoon, or flick it at your mate, whatever. But when we get to the etiquette, you're not going to do any of that, because that's not very tasteful. So folks, I'm going to have a cuppa while it's still warm. I hope you learned something from that if you didn't know anything. If you did, you didn't learn anything. And if you're very, very, very into it, you can be very precise with the way that you brew your tea. But remember, boiling water, hot pot, hot cup if you want to have it hot. The right amount of tea for your pot, the amount of people that are going to be drinking, or if you're going to drink more than one cup. Let it brew. Never mind putting it in, shake it around, out. Making a tea bag, the same. Let it brew. If you let it brew, you're going to get a beautiful cup of tea with the natural flavour of that tea. If you force it, if you put it in, whack it around, squeeze it, what the hell you want with it, yes, you're going to get a brown cup of tea, you're going to get a tasting cup of tea if you go that far, but it's going to be bitter because you're just squeezing the tannin out, you're squeezing whatever's in that tea out. It's not brewed, it's not, for the want of a better word, cooked. Let it brew. Tea bags, loose tea, let it brew. So folks, on that note, I'm going to bozo off and clean up my biscuits and have a look for the bloody submarine in here. Catch you later.